Good morning, bonjour, buonasera. Welcome to Life's Questions and Lessons. I am your host, Charity Youngblood, and I am so excited and grateful that you are here with me today. This podcast is unedited because life is unedited. As always, we'll get started with a question and whatever activity you engage in to explore your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, please feel free to do. So today's first question is, what question do I need to answer today? What question do I need to answer today? So if you haven't noticed, we have updated the name, darling, of the podcast to Life's Questions and Lessons. Very intentional, very purposeful, if you haven't garnered that about me yet. But one of the reasons I decided to change the name is life provides questions. Life teaches lessons, right? But what I have noticed over the years of doing this work myself, as well as working with other women, other people, just anybody in general, we get very confused when it comes to asking the right questions and really doing the work to understand the lesson. And if you're someone who is listening to the podcast or you have been led to the podcast, you're here for a reason. You are someone who is seeking to do the work on yourself, right? That's personal growth, this self-development. You are someone who believes in the power of transformation and growth and evolution as a human. And one thing that sometimes can happen in the space of personal growth is we become less trusting in ourselves. We don't necessarily listen to that little voice, to our intuition. And so I thought today would be a best day, no better time than now to bring this up on the podcast and really let you know, as you're listening, I see you. I understand that this path, this journey can be very, very difficult. And sometimes you need just some voice, some inspiration, some guidance to say, I got this. So let me be the one to tell you, you got this. So I am putting this question in for the podcast today. There is something on your heart right now, in your season, in this moment that you are listening to my words. There is a question that either you've been struggling with, or maybe you felt like you weren't really sure how to explore it. You weren't really sure, how you found yourself not trusting your intuition. And I really challenge you to trust it. Get into that space, whether you need to go outside, whether you need to find that energy that really fills you up, and ask yourself this question. What is the question that I need to answer today? And make sure, as always, we are asking ourselves these questions with curiosity, right? Not judgment, but we're doing that in curiosity. And really think about what comes up for you. If you think about, well, I'm not really sure what question I really need to answer today. What are you going through right now? I remember in a workshop I attended, I think it was last week, one of the ladies was asking me how I was intentional. Like she was kind of struggling with how to become intentional with what she was choosing to attend, like even the workshop. So if that is part of, you've noticed yourself being kind of indecisive, maybe that's the question, you need to answer today. But I would take some time to look at what comes up first when you ask yourself this question. because that's probably a good place to start. In all honesty, that's probably your intuition tugging at you like, girl, you know good and well what you need to answer today. And if it feels a little sticky, if it's a little challenging, like you don't want to answer it today, but you really do know the question, you can be honest with yourself and you really do know the actual question that you need to answer today, and you're just not ready to do that today, take a step back. And the alternative question, if you will, would be why, right? Why am I feeling like I can't answer this today? What feelings are coming up? What emotions? What resistance? That's a great term that we've used, or word that we've used on the podcast before. What is the resistance? Where is this resistance coming from? So those are the questions, and that's kind of where my mind is with this. I'm really excited to explore this new, it's not really that new. It's kind of what we're already doing on the podcast, but I guess, what should I say? New vision, right? Because there really was a turning point for me in my life when I begin to say, what is the lesson that life is trying to teach me in this moment? Obviously there were other aspects and other elements that I wasn't aware of, but that point, that turning point, and that actually happened in a conversation that I had with a friend of mine, and she asked, the question very similar to that, like, what is the lesson that life is trying to teach me? And if you take that, into everything that we're doing in the podcast and on your own personal growth journey, you are going to receive just so many breakthroughs, both small and large and in the middle and all the things. So that's what I have on my heart today. Really excited to hear how this is going for you. Please rate and review this podcast whatever platform you're listening to it on. And if this was helpful for you, please share this podcast as well, this episode, or obviously the podcast in general. Share it. If it was helpful for you, it's probably going to be helpful for someone else. And until next time, take care.